with great pleasure to introduce my brother Swami Pavitrananda, who just has returned from India. He is the head of the Vedanta Society of New York, and before he came to this country, he was the head of a very important Himalayan center in India. And he has been in this country for 7 or 8 years now. But he longed to go back to India to meet brothers. And we are so happy to have him here, and he will tell us of his recent experiences in India. So.
I am extremely happy to be with you this morning. When I wrote to Swami that I was coming to Hollywood on my way to New York, he wrote to me and he got the address at Honolulu that I should have to give a talk here on Sunday. I came only yesterday. When I came, he said, "What is the matter? You want me to talk?" Then I asked him what was the subject of his talk. He said it was silence. Then I said I should follow the instructions. I should be silent and not give a talk at all. But he would not allow me to be silent. So I still have to speak something. He asked me to talk about my experience in India. The fundamental teaching of all religions is, if you want to develop spiritual life, we should not talk in terms of I and my. But if I have to talk about my experience in India, I have to use the word I and my many times. But I can't help it. Yes, I came to this country more than 7 years back, and naturally I was longing to go to India. But I found circumstances were not favorable to my going to India. Year before last I tried. I made reservations. Nobody knew it. You have to make reservations 2 or 3 months ahead. All of a sudden you cannot say that circumstances are propitious and let me go. Nowadays you cannot do that. I did that, but circumstances were against me. I could not go. And this time I made reservations in the plane, and I did not allow it to be known to anybody, not to India. And all of a sudden I wrote to India that I was coming. And strangely enough, I found myself one evening that I was in Idlewild in a plane. I could not believe it that I would be able to go to India, but circumstances are favorable. I slept in New York on 21st of April. Now is the age of jet plane speed. I'm waiting 2 nights at London and spending 2 nights in Rome. I found myself on the 26th of April I was in Bombay. It was as if all of a sudden I had been planted to a different circumstances and to different climate. In New York it was cold. I had top coats to use. And when I went to Bombay it was terribly hot. Circumstances were so different. I put on my Indian clothes. I reached there at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. I put on my Indian dress, got rid of my heavy clothing, and it was such a great liberation. Then after a few hours I forgot that I was in America at all. It was a strange feeling even with me. It was a great effort to think that I was in America ever. I don't know what is the influence of the dress, or what was the influence of the circumstance, and I stayed in our ashram in Bombay, and in the evening I had strange experience. In the evening there is service, raising lights and so on here, chanting hymns. And I found many people coming to take part in the evening service. Older people, men, women, and children coming. And with great devotion. And one thought occurred to me. In America or in the West, there are Sunday schools where children are sent or forced to go to become religious. Here the children came not under any compulsion. They came out of their own spontaneous desire. Nobody is compelled to go in India. They are coming, it might not be for deep spiritual feeling, but for the joy of which they came. It was a unique experience. And I took part and I went to the service. Usually, always I would not go. And I was so happy to take part in that evening service. I stayed in Bombay for only for 2 nights. Then I went back to Belur, our headquarters. It was terribly hot. Sometimes the temperature would go to 110 degrees. Humidity was great, 80%, 90%. But such was my longing for staying in Belur, I did not mind it, I forgot about it. Some Swamis told me that by sheer willpower you are staying here in Belur in such a hot climate. I had an invitation to go to our Himalayan centers. There are several centers in Himalayan region. In one center I stayed for a long time, worked for a long time. The Swami, the president of the center, sent me wire to Bombay, inviting me to go to that center, but I had no attraction to go to some cool place. I left the headquarters, Belur more, on the bank of the Ganges. And I told them that nowadays, for the time being, Holy Ganga has greater attraction for me than the sacred Himalayan region. Now, what was the reason for that attraction? It was genuine. I did not go anywhere for 2 months and a half in the hot climate. I stayed in Belur. Literally 2 months and 13 days or 14 days there. The Belur, which was started by Swami Pavitrananda, where the relics of Ramakrishna are kept, has got many memories and many associations and great spiritual atmosphere. If you are in a mood to feel it, I say if you are in a mood to feel it, had I been in Belur for a long time, perhaps I would not have that mood which I had this time because I was going from America. I say, had I been familiar, had I been working at Belur, all these things would have been too familiar with me. I would have been caught in the daily problems of the work, its worries, its anxieties, its difficulties, and so on. And these things would have been very familiar to me. So much familiar, I would not be so much conscious of it. But here, I had no work there. I knew their problems, I knew their difficulties, and I could sense their difficulties more because I had worked also in Belur, facing those problems collectively. But this time, these things did not affect me. Just the distant things I would hear and listen, sympathize. But I lived in another atmosphere for myself. I lived in the past. I lived in memory. Belur had great associations for us. We have seen the disciples of Ramakrishna living there, the room where they stayed, the place where they talked to us particular things. Walking in the lawn, some disciple had said something, That thought came prominent in my mind, and it will come to the mind of any member of the organization. And in Belur there is a temple, that big temple of Ramakrishna where the relics are kept. There is a temple of Swami Vivekananda. There is a temple of the Holy Mother. There is a temple of Swami Brahmananda, whom we call Maharaj. There is a room where Swami Vivekananda lived and died. And the things are kept exactly in the same way they were when Swami Vivekananda was alive. And I said there are the rooms where Swami Brahmananda lived. There is a room where Swami Vivekananda, Swami Shivananda, another disciple of Ramakrishna and second president of the order, lived. That was the atmosphere where I found myself in, and there was the Ganges flowing by. I stayed quietly in a room. They gave me the best room, almost. It was a quiet life. The room which has many monks, in comparison with other centers, one could live one's own life altogether ignored. I say altogether ignored, it is difficult. When a Swami goes from America or the West, then whenever you go, you are surrounded by persons, they come for interview, they come for this and that thing. But in Belur Math, you are completely lost like a drop in the ocean. And it was so enjoyable. Nobody disturbed me unless I seek their company. So I had lived my own life, and it was really a beautiful experience. My room was facing the Ganges. Quietly I was sitting there silently, not that always I was busy. Quietly looking at the Ganges. Ganges looked more beautiful. This time, and this temple were living present as it were. I say, had I been there, engaged in day-to-day work, this thing should not loom so large. But this time, because I lived in memories, I lived in association. This association should come strongly to my mind. There were the Swamis. There are the Swamis who are senior to me, to whom I go turn for advice and direction, or discuss problems. And there are the junior Swamis with whom to talk also as an inspiration. Because their mind was having a new aspiration, spiritual aspiration. When you be talking with them, when you hear the problems, you could see how that mind was throbbing with the spirit of religion, and it is also an indirect help, indirect aspiration. And in the morning you find, in Belur Math atmosphere, I was sitting quietly in my room or walking leisurely in the morning, early morning, there the dawn. In summer, at 4 o'clock in the morning it becomes dawn. Early in the morning some simple bells ringing, and at 5 o'clock or early morning, you find one by one the Swamis are going to the temple, from the Christian downwards to the most recently come monks. The president of our order now is sick, but even then, sometimes, some days it be coming to the temple. And it was a sight for God to see the Swami silently going to the temple to buying before, because it was so spontaneous. Though the Swami was so filled with devotion, they would not speak a word unless it was absolutely necessary as they were going to the temple. Just to look at this thing was a spiritual help, if not spiritual inspiration. And so many monks going to the temple in the morning would not usually have collective prayer, each one meditates in the morning in his own room and goes to the temple to make pranam or salutation. This was a sight as I was watching as a witness, as a bystander as it were. It was a good thing to see because the devotion was sincere and spontaneous, not artificial or under compulsion. I said under compulsion? If to go to church is under compulsion as it were. Or even in a monastery you have to go because you are compelled, because that is the rule. In our order there is not so much a rigid rule. So it was genuine. It was spontaneous. For me really it was a very glad sight. Seeing all people, junior and senior, going. And also the devotees from outside coming. And early morning also, some devotees would be coming. And they meditating in the temple or make pranam. And after some time you will find some devotees coming from outside and taking bath in the Ganges. One day I found all of a sudden large number of persons are coming from outside and taking bath in the Ganges. I asked what was the matter. It was an important day, it was a sacred day. On that day they come to have bath in the Ganges. One would say, why? What is the utility of having a bath in a river? Why should the Ganges be sacred? Is it superstition? One might say these things. That thought also occurred to me. Could it not be said? Why do you go into ecstasy? I was really happy to see. I also asked myself, why would you go into ecstasy? But tradition is a great thing. The Ganges carries a tradition. 2 or 3,000 years old. If a tradition is a great help, tradition is a great thing. There is certainly some reason behind that tradition which has been kept up. If not anything else, only the dance of the Ganges. There have been many spiritual aspirants practicing devotion. There have been many saints and sages. All these things have a collective influence on the minds of the posterity. If not for anything else, we find any reason, the Ganges carries that tradition, and therefore it is holy. If you go with a frame of mind, you want any explanation, this is a rational explanation. Common sense explanation, if I am not to give any mystical explanation. But it will not go always reasoning. It fall into the tradition. If you are fortunate to fall enough to fall into the tradition, to get something out of it. These people say that that feeling of devotion, that is the most important thing. You cannot decry, you cannot just dismiss this thing. It is all superstition. Well, what is the correct thing? What is not superstition? An intellectual man, a great philosopher, he carries a lot of superstition, lot of thoughts in his mind, not having a clear idea. He carries many ideas in his brain, which are together no relation to life. That is not much superstition. But here these people are getting something out of it. So daily there is a new person coming for Ganges, there is the occasion when people will be coming in a larger number. I could see these things silently. I could witness these things from day to day for 2 months and a half. Before the temple there is a big lawn. Before the temple of Swami. I said it was very hot weather. From 9 to 4 in the daytime, I literally closed my doors, windows, and every hole through which air could come as it were. And the fan, fortunately I had a fan in my room. In every room there is not any fan. And the fan would be running at full speed, and the room was kept dark from 9 to 5 or 6. But after that in the evening, it was so pleasant. Breeze coming to the Ganges, to the surface of the Ganges, so cool. It was cool, physically and spiritually cool. In the evening there is a service in the temple. It's a big temple. Large number of monks and devotees will be there. On ordinary days there will be 200 or 300. On special days it will be 500 or more. And the service will be singing devotional chants, which is done here. They are experts, some of them great experts. And the singing is done in such a nice way. In the evening, I do loitering in the lawn. I do not go inside the temple. There is many persons I do not like to there. It is in any case, I want it to be quiet. I want it to be left to myself. I do loitering. Also, one is said to be Swami walking in the, if he is taking evening walk, while there was evening service going on. But I took the risk. So, I be sitting. I'm using the eye work many times, but I can't help it. I be sitting in some crazy place, where I will not be observed. And listening to the words of the chanting, words of the evening service. These things are composed by Pavitrananda. The meaning of those things become much more prominent now. I could find this word was so important. This word came out of the deep experiences of Swami Pavitrananda. And I was sitting there quiet in some crazy place, in a dark place. And it was such a great joy to me. From that standpoint, I was fortunate I was away from that atmosphere for 2 years. Otherwise, I might not have enjoyed these things so much, because these things would have been too much familiar to me. Then, as evening advanced into the night, it was cooler and enjoyable. After taking dinner, 9 to 10 or sometimes, with Swami, we'd be sometimes before that time, we'd be walking in the lawn, discussing so many things. In our monastery, we discuss important things informally. And we learn more things by informal discussions than having a formal class. And at night, so important things we have discussed walking in the lawn. And the temple looking like pillars in the sky, or in some moonlight, looking like a dream, but at the same time, so living present to us. Such is the way I have the privilege of spending my time in daily life. And sometimes with such nice discussions with Swami, especially elderly Swami, at night. when it was quiet and the devotees were not there. You see, in the daytime, there's a large number of devotees. In that night, it gets pretty quiet. Unfortunately, nowadays, previously it was not the case nowadays. Outsiders are not allowed to remain in the monastery from 12 noon till 4 o'clock. And after 7:30, after the evening services have been finished, they are asked to go away to the monastery. And after that, it's so quiet. And even the daytime, from 12 to 4, it was the stillness of night I was enjoying. Because it was so hot, nobody was walking. And in the Ganges also, no boat would be running. Usually in the Ganges, many boats are run. But when the weather was very hot, no boats also would be running. And in the daytime, I feel the stillness of the night. And in the evening, as I said, at night, we'd be discussing anything, and I was thinking. It was not going 15,000 miles, spending more than 15,000 rupees to be there and enjoy those conversations. Yes, sometimes we are insistent that I go to some class A, some cool place. It must not be very good for myself to live in such hot weather conditions. But I did not go. I just like to go. Because there is something I was getting. In this way, I spent 2 months and a half. For me, these are memorable days. I got much out of it. It was worth going. Then after 2 months and a half, I went to see some other center to meet some other families. I said, for me, persons are more important than places. Because previously in India, I have seen many sacred places in India. So these things had not much attraction for me. But I was interested in persons who are at certain places where I could meet those persons. In that way, I went around India quickly by air. But because I traveled by air, I did not feel that I was traveling. If I could go to many places, I went to South, Madras, Bangalore. I came to New Delhi, though it was not a spiritual atmosphere, it was a political atmosphere. Hot weather crisis, but I went to feel the feel of India by being in Delhi. As soon as you go to Delhi, you are in another atmosphere. I want to know what is the feeling of the country, you feel it there. I attended once also the parliament in our house, and it was interesting. It was the question hour. And I enjoyed, and there was in the opposition party, communist party, irritating questions were put to the ruling side, the government side. They are trying to defend themselves. It was enjoyable for outsiders. Sometimes they were getting irritated. Some member giving a long discussion, and so on. Just feel the atmosphere. But I enjoyed it, there is a position. I enjoyed there is discussion, because it is an indication of progress. Some person asked me, what is your feeling about India nowadays? There are some persons who think that India is going down. Some persons think India is progressing. But I say, I enjoy this content. I enjoy this discussion because it indicates people have opinion. And it indicates people want progress. So we should not be disheartened that is discussion, but indicates that there is life in it. From New Delhi, I went to Hardware, that holy place, which also tradition, which also has a great tradition. As much as the Ganges, I met some families. I saw the devotees pilgrims coming to Hardware as they become long ago. In this I spent 1 month visiting certain places, including Holy January. Then I came back to Delirmat again, and then I had a different mood. 15 days only, there was ahead of me, because I could make all my preparations to come back to America again. Part of the month will start to work again, and the basic thing they got that is appointments and engagement in this place and that, going to the air office and so on. It was a hectic life, and I packed my things, and 30th of August, I got involved with plane, came to Tokyo, came to Honolulu, and I find myself in Hollywood, and I find myself back to give a talk on my experience in India. That is an actual habit. So,